Today I'm out in Detroit, and this is the first time I've been able to take a look at the all-new Dodge Hornet in person. This is going to be the smallest, likely least expensive Dodge available on sale in the United States, and the first electrified Dodge with an available plug-in hybrid model coming up soon. Now, this is the very close relative to the Alfa Romeo Tonale. Very, very close. In fact, it's going to even be manufactured in the same factory as the Alfa. That might make some Alfa fans upset, but I think Dodge fans should be really excited about that because it means higher levels of performance, higher levels of precision and handling ability baked right into the basic design of the vehicle than you might normally expect out of a competitor to something like a Subaru Crosstrek, something along those lines. We have a very distinctive new Dodge front end here. If we come in close, you'll take a look at this Dodge logo right there in the middle. It's the double line Dodge logo that we're seeing in every new Dodge. Full LED headlights here. Lots of extra grille openings down here because we have a 2-liter turbo engine standard. This is going to have one of the highest power levels available in this segment. Other interesting twists, we also have functional hood vents, which is something that we don't normally find in an inexpensive compact crossover in the United States. Size-wise, in terms of dimensions, this is going to be somewhere between worlds, somewhere between a compact crossover and a subcompact. Dimensionally, this is not exactly a competitor to the RAV4. It slots somewhere between worlds. This is not too far off the Jeep Compass in terms of size, but it's not exactly a Dodge Compass either. The platform underneath the skin is distantly related to the Compass, but heavily modified for the Alfa and for the Hornet, and then of course for the plug-in hybrid system that's available. So if you're looking for something that is priced more like a Mazda CX-30 or perhaps a Subaru Crosstrek, but a little bit larger, a little bit more accommodating on the insides and with a whole lot more power, then you want to take a look at the Dodge Hornet. Coming around the rear, we find these very unique LED taillights, full LED. These are a really nice touch here, and this is perhaps the biggest differentiator in terms of the style of the vehicle from the Alfa Romeo Tonale. We have this line rather than the racetrack that we found in other Dodge models, illuminated Dodge logo right there in the middle. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the Hornet for me is that the 2-liter turbocharged engine is standard. 268 horsepower, nearly 300 pound-feet of torque on at least every Hornet that you're going to find on the dealer showroom floor. Then there's going to be a plug-in hybrid system available that's going to produce 285 plus horsepower. By the numbers, it appears that this might be more powerful than the Alfa Romeo Tonale, which is another really weird twist. If that's not enough, there's also going to be a GLH version of the Hornet that's going to bump that power level even further. We don't have any final details on the plug-in hybrid system just yet, but this is really going to be the only plug-in hybrid in this segment. The next segment up is where the RAV4 plug-in hybrid exists. Again, this is competing somewhere in between worlds. The interior is very much like the Alfa Romeo Tonale. We have the same button bank here that we find in the Alfa, same instrument cluster, and same infotainment system as well. The rest of the dashboard is styled a little bit differently to help differentiate the products from one another. But again, this I think bodes really well for the Dodge because all of these buttons and switches have a really premium feel to them, as do the knobs and the air vents in the dashboard, etc. The major things that change is we have an engine start-stop button here, we have the same shifter, but some of the buttons just rearrange on the interior versus that Alfa Romeo. Now over here on the steering wheel, we have a very Alfa Romeo wheel. At the top of the wheel, we have pretty aggressive thumb grips. The Alfa design really continues here, and then there's the sport button over here on the steering wheel, which I think makes a bit more sense than the power button that we find in other Alfas. These controls over here relate to that multifunction LCD instrument cluster, and then unlike other Dodge wheels, there are no buttons on the back of the steering wheel. Again, everything in here has a strangely premium vibe to it for a relatively inexpensive vehicle. Other nice change, we have big cup holders here. They appear to be a little bit bigger than the cup holders that we find in the Alfa. Jumping into the back seat, this front seat is all the way back in its tracks. I still have just a little bit of legroom left. Again, keep in mind this is a fairly small vehicle. Also keep in mind the seat's all the way back, so my natural sitting position would be closer to the front. Back here I have about an inch of headroom left, so if you're worried about headroom because of the slinky profile, don't be too worried. Headroom appears to be pretty generous. You can really tell that this is a narrow vehicle, however, when you take a look at this itty-bitty little center console here. This is the control for opening and closing the air vent. These are the air vents here. They're basically conjoined. We then have some USB charge ports there, but even these components actually have a pretty premium feel to them, as do the door panels in the rear. There are some hard plastics at the top of the door, but the entire midsection of the door actually has a pretty nice feel to it, and we have a really elegant and slim door handle. Back to the seating area, we have this padded center console, 2 cup holders there, and you can see that we have some performance accents on these seats with the red bits that show right through those perforations in this middle sort of faux Alcantara section. These seats are not ventilated, neither are the ones up front, however. The most unusual thing about the Hornet in this mainstream segment is its dedication to performance. And you don't need the GLH trim, which is what this model is, with the extra hood graphics there, the red Hornet there, the track pack on this model, which is absolutely bonkers for a mainstream crossover in the first place. A track pack on a compact mainstream crossover is absolutely unheard of. Nobody else is doing it. This particular model, the GLH, goes like hell trim. We don't know what the power output figures from the engine will be, but it's probably going to be a bit more than the base model. And again, if you want the extra power, there's the plug-in hybrid. Whether or not that is going to entice shoppers, we don't know at this point, but it really does mean that Dodge is still interested in performance. They've said that time and time again, that they want to be the performance mainstream brand, and there were some questions as to whether or not this would meet that mission, but it appears that it's going to. Let me know what you think about all that in the comment section, and let me know what you think about the lack of tax credit on the plug-in hybrid. I think that hit a lot of people by surprise, and perhaps they're going to be able to do something about that in the future, but at least when this launches, no tax credit on that plug-in hybrid. See all of you later.